This is the Non-Conforming Parsi, Nozzer Pardiwala, and you are listening to Bun Maska Season 3, the most successful formula to be unsuccessful. Formula number 7. Follow the herd. One of my cousins is a doctor, by degree, not by profession. Once we happened to enter a well-known posh hospital of our city suburb. It was nothing less than a 5-star hotel. As soon as we entered, my cousin kept her handkerchief to cover her nostrils. I looked at her with querying eyes. While we entered the lift, she said, "I just hate this smell in the hospital." I was shocked. It didn't end there. As we were about to enter the ward, she asked me to go ahead. My eyes again did the questioning. To that, I was anticipating another shocking reply, and shocking it was. She said, "I cannot see blood." I wondered if the entire ICU was going to be dripping with blood or what. It wasn't. But then as I walked past her and saw a nurse cleaning a bed sore of an old patient, I realized what it takes to be a doctor. Not just a degree, definitely. She hated the sight of blood. She couldn't stand the odor of the hospital. And she trained and waned precious years of her life doing something that she never meant to do. The aunt who we visited didn't live for more than 12 hours, but her husband lived to see the bill that he had to pay for an attempt to save her life. He looked at me and said, 75,000 rupees? I said to myself, probably wrong choice of hospital. Neither did I have the money nor the wisdom to offer a man who was thrice my age with the hospital bill in his frail, trembling hands. I just offered him a glass of water and my sympathy. Meanwhile, my cousin stood by, this time with colon water on her handkerchief as she was fainting. I didn't know what to make sense of those 75,000 rupees, but I definitely knew one thing for sure, why my cousin could never make it as a doctor. There are so many students opting to be chartered accountants. So many of them trying to pass various entrance exams. Some others trying to be doctors. Knowing little, they are just trying to be a part of a crowd, following the herd, where they shall be just one of them and not the one. It is very risky to take a lone path, but believe me, it is well rewarded. It is much easier to choose the known path, but then be assured you shall not be alone. A crowd awaits you, ahead of you, behind you, with you. So don't pursue chartered accountancy just because half your family is. Just don't dream of being a doctor because your aunt has a hospital in Ahmedabad. Do it only if you really want to do it. Coaching institutes today take pride in advertising their professors to be chartered accountants. Young, naive students and over-enthusiastic parents fall prey to such claims, not realizing the underlying message. Chartered accountants teaching in a coaching institute. I was naive once myself. All my friends were either appearing for chartered accountancy entrance or cost accountancy entrance exams. I chose the latter option. God knows why. Probably it looked less threatening than the former. I gave my entrance and fell short of passing it by 3 marks. Can you believe it? 3 marks. I was disgusted, not at myself, at the system of passing an entrance exam. I pitied those who fell short of just 1 mark. Today, I thank that system for having failed me, as it saved me from getting into a profession which is almost extinct. One of my teachers taught me the most valuable lesson. Probably he himself never learned or intended to teach. He was a science graduate who worked all his life in a bank and conducted tuitions in the extra time he had. I'm sure he did it not more for the money, but for the joy of being close to the subjects he loved. He taught mathematics and science, and he taught us well. He always hammered into our head, don't choose science if you are not interested in it. He never shared why he worked in a bank, but his bitterness conveyed it all. When I was asked for the first time in my life what I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be a farmer. I was the most confused with multiple ambitions of being a farmer, a film director, a photographer, a sportsman and whatnot. But aren't we all? I wrote a poem and submitted it for the college magazine. It got printed. It was for the first time in my life I got recognition for something I had done. At school, I was an average child trying to just fight my own demons of low self-esteem, and in doing so, I had self-imposed myself into hibernation. I still have that college magazine and intermittently open that page on which my poem is printed and just touch that page and read it over and over again. Not for the only reason that it was the first printed form of my creation, but more because I love it myself. I write and I know I write well. I write and then I read. I enjoy reading it, reading my own work. After that and before that, I have and had written a lot of poems, and they to some extent were a reflection of my state of mind then. So mostly were sad, pessimistic and gloomy. Some were humorous too, but I loved them as they were. Years later, I submitted an article which was for our community weekly newspaper, and it got published too. I had written it over a period of 6 to 8 months with lot of research, and every time I wrote a part of it, I read it. I felt so happy and proud of myself. Self-appraisal and self-appreciation is something we seldom do. I never did it most of my life. I started doing it when I started writing. I appreciated myself for writing so well. We spend most of our life depending on other people's assessment about us. We hardly bother for a self-review. Who knows us best? We ourselves. So follow the herd and you are there, one of the many stars in the galaxy. To quote Rumi, "It's your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you." So the zygote from wanting to be a farmer went on to half-heartedly complete commerce graduation, gave up on cost accountancy after the very first attempt, pursued photography, became a columnist for a while, published 2 books, wrote, edited, filmed, directed over 15 short films and a web series, started a podcast and continues to write screenplays for films and web series. It took the zygote a while to realize what is it that he truly is within. He is and was always a storyteller. The medium kept changing with changing times and technology. Articles, photography, books, films, podcast. All along, he was a storyteller. And the journey continues for him. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop, Rumi says. The entire possibility of the world resides inside of you, and you are capable of creating from that space. But to tap onto this infinite potential, we need to first recognize what is authentically us. What is our truth, and how can we go about expressing it in a meaningful way? The zygote could do it, and he hopes his story shall inspire you to do it too. This is the Non-Conforming Parsi Nozzer Pardiwala, and you are listening to Bun Maska Season 3. The most successful formula to be unsuccessful.